So this picture is actually from my most viewed speed drawing video on my profile. Because it's been a couple of years, I thought it would be fun to redraw this, especially now that I'm more skilled thanks to the last couple years of being in art school. If my memory serves me right, this picture was made around the time I first started art school, and there are quite a few things I take issue with. Most glaringly how flat this is, there's no depth in this picture. Additionally, the boys and girls' forms are quite frightening if you look closely at them. Brick's face looks like it's melting to me. Very scary stuff. In addition, how I draw these characters has changed over the years along with how I present them. So my goals when I started redoing this piece were pretty clear. I wanted to adjust the designs to match more closely with how I do things now. I also wanted to add in much more variety into the characters' expressions. Something that, when you look at it, it can tell you a lot about the characters' behaviors and personalities. So that's what I set out to do with this piece, and because this is a redraw of some old work, why don't we recap what's happened so far in the story of this AU? So the story actually starts about 20 years ago or so. Dr. Vivace was contracted by the government in order to assist in the growing monstrous threat. Using the funds from the government, a specialized team was put together to stop this growing threat. The Extreme Response Squad. Incidentally, Vivace had recently completed successful experiments that resulted in Maxima and Aria. This led to them being added to this unit. Records are sparse as to why this unit was disbanded, but all individuals involved were either discharged or shuffled to other programs. Aria and Maxima were amongst those shuffled to another program. Yet another led by Vivace, after the government saw the success of the Extreme Response Squad. A specialized team of individuals just like Aria and Maxima. The program was called Magical Melody. Later on, earlier documents switch between calling it different code names. The most common being Project M.M or just M. This project led to the introduction of Cadence Vivace's daughter, and Hilda Murphy, otherwise known as Harmony. This group was wildly successful, and therefore became heavily marketed, supplementing the already robust budget for the program. Outside of handling the monstrous threat, the girls also did things such as concerts or meet and greets. As their popularity grew, an additional service was offered in which the girls could be hired to make an appearance at parties. Cadence was the most popular choice out of the three girls for this service. Ranking from most to least popular, Harmony and Cadence level often fluctuated, but more often than not Cadence would be the most popular, with Harmony in second place. Aria and Maxima would often switch between third or last depending on the poll. Voters often citing, because the two of them were not seen very often in the public, they didn't feel connected enough to like them very much. During the time of the Melody Project, Aria saved Professor Utonium's life as a child during a monster attack on Townsville. This event made the professor Aria's biggest, if not only, fan. The professor often sent in letters to Aria afterwards, and was some of the only fan mail that Aria received. All other mail she got was often addressed to all of them as a collective. During the course of the project, Harmony and Cadence switched jobs one day. Cadence choosing to go to a monster attack that was assigned to Harmony, and Harmony choosing to go to a birthday party that was assigned to Cadence. During this, Harmony met Thomas Morbucks, her future husband. The two of them became incredibly close almost instantly after that. Due to the surplus of expensive gifts and Harmony spending time with Thomas, Cadence and Harmony often got into fights with each other, which resulted in massive screaming matches. Aria would try to intervene, but would be caught in the crossfire of vicious insults as a result. One particular argument that happened days before the end of the program left Aria in tears from the argument. At the recommendation of staff and the encouragement of Maxima, Harmony was sent home for a couple of days to cool off. Once Vivace got wind of the argument, Cadence was sent to her room in the facility, after a long-winded and loud lecture that could be heard throughout the facility. Only a couple of days later, Aria and Maxima were sent on yet another redacted mission. During this mission, Maxima received fatal wounds, which she succumbed to while on the operating table within the Magical Melody facility. Aria, once receiving the news from a research assistant, caused the explosion of the facility from her resulting breakdown. Many staff received near-fatal wounds, and some of them succumbed to them later, after receiving treatment in nearby hospitals. Somehow, the research assistant, who had informed Aria of Maxima's passing, survived, receiving severe head trauma, but otherwise appearing to be fine. That research assistant, whose name has been redacted from official records, went on to have a fairly normal life with his family. After the explosion of the facility, Aria has been officially listed as missing. Despite efforts to locate the young girl, there was not enough manpower, after budget cuts, to spend a significant amount of time looking for her. Slowly afterwards, the program fizzled out, Cadence and Harmony going their separate ways. Harmony returning to her life as Hilda Murphy, and Cadence moving on to a special project called Asudum. Hilda was only notified of what the project's name was because of Cadence mentioning it to her in passing, remarking that this project should make her just as strong, if not stronger, than Aria ever was. Now in the present day, Dr. Tiffany Gallium, a child psychologist, has adopted 3 young boys, Brick, Boomer, and Butch. The boys, collectively, have had some difficulties settling into their new lives, but seem to care about Gallium as much as Gallium clearly cares about them. Despite the Rowderuff's previous history with the Powerpuff Girls, the boys on a whole have been fairly well behaved. The only time the more antagonistic side comes out is when the children join in with any bickering that seems to happen between Dr. Gallium and Utonium during school events or out in public. Though that seems to be changing, especially with much more recent events in mind. And that's basically it. Everything summarized up until this point in the story. I've got a lot of things planned, and I even have an ending in mind for all of this. I'm excited to see how this grows and changes as I become more skilled. Thanks so much for watching.